Hey, what's up you guys? It's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, comment down below what you want to see in the future, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on my post notifications. That way you lovely people will get notified every single time I upload a video. In today's video, we are going to go into chapter 25 of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I've already looked ahead. Literally chapter 25 is one page, so I'm going to do chapter 25 and 26 in this video. So let's get right into this. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off of the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 25. Dark, 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 dark. It's literally a stick figure, just with the word dark multiple times. Chapter 26. Pip came through the darkness, one cracked eye at a time. It was the sound that let her out, something slamming by her ear. Air. She had air. Blood flowing to her brain again. Her eyes were open, but she couldn't make sense of all the shapes around her. Not yet. A disconnect between what she saw and what she understood, and all she understood right then was pain splitting open her head, writhing against her skull, but she couldn't breathe. But she could breathe. She could hear herself breathing, and then she couldn't. The world glowed and roared beneath her, but she knew that sound. She understood it. An engine starting. She was in a car, but she was lying down on her back. 2 more blinks, and suddenly the shapes around her made sense. Her mind reopening its doors, a tight enclosed space, rough carpet beneath one cheek, and slanting cover secured above her, blocking out the light. She was in the trunk of a car. Yes, that's it, she told her newborn brain, and it was the red rear door slamming shut. That's what she heard. She must have only been out for seconds, half a minute at most. He'd been parked right behind her, ready, dragged her, the trunk open and yawning to swallow her inside. Oh yes, this was the most important thing to remember, her mind now catching up. DT had taken her. She was dead. Not now. She was alive. Now all she could do, alive now, and she could breathe. Thank God she could breathe. But she was dead in all the ways that mattered, as good as. Dead girl walking, except she wasn't walking. She couldn't get up. Panic reeled up her warm and frothing as she tried to let it out, tried to scream, but wait, she couldn't. Only the muffled edges escaped, not enough to even call it a scream. There was something covering her mouth. She reached up to see what it was, but wait, she couldn't do that either. Her hands were clasped behind her back, stuck there, stuck together. She twisted one hand as much as she could, folded down her index finger to feel what was bound around her wrist. Duct tape. She should have known that. There was a strip of it across her mouth, but she couldn't move her legs apart. Her ankles must be wrapped, too, though she couldn't see that far down, even when she lifted her head. Something new unraveling from the pit of her stomach, a primal feeling, ancient, a terror beyond any words could contain it. It was everywhere, behind her eyes, beneath her skin, too strong, like all the million pieces of her disappearing and reappearing at once, flickering in and out of existence. She was going to die. 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 She might just die from this feeling alone. Her heart so fast, and it no longer sounded like a gun, but it couldn't keep going like this. It would give out. It surely would give out. Pip tried to scream again, pushing the word help against the duct tape, but it pushed it right back, a hopeless cry in the dark. But there was still a spark of herself inside of all that terror, and she was the only one who could help her breathe, just breathe. She tried to tell herself how could she breathe when she was going to die, but she took a deep breath in and out of her nose, and she felt herself rallying inside, gathering in numbers, pushing that too strong feeling into the dark place at the back of her mind. She needed a plan. Pip always had a plan, even if she was going to die. The situation was this. It was a Saturday, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Pip was in the trunk of his car. The DT killer, Daniel Da Silva, he was driving her to the place where he planned to kill her. Her hands were bound, her feet were bound. Those were the facts, and she had more. Pip always had more facts. The next one was particularly heavy, particularly hard to hear, even if it came from her own mind. Something she learned from one of those many true crime podcasts, something she never thought she'd need to know. The voice in her head repeated it to her plainly, no pauses, no panic. If you are ever abducted, you must do everything you can to avoid them taking you to a secondary location. Once you are in a second location, your chances of survival go down to less than 1%. Pip was being taken to a second location right now. She'd missed her chance, that small window of survival in the first few seconds, less than 1%. But for some reason, the number didn't bring back the terror. Pip felt calmer somehow, a strange quieting, as though putting a number to it made it easier for her to accept. It wasn't that she was going to die, but that she was very, very likely to die, an almost certainty. Not enough left over for hope. Okay, she breathed. So what could she do about it? She wasn't at the second location yet. Did she have her phone on her? No, she dropped it when he grabbed her. Heard it crack on the road. Pip raised her head and surveyed the trunk, juddering at the swung down a rougher road. There was nothing in here except her. He must have taken her backpack. Okay, what next? She should have been trying to visualize the route they were taking, make mental notes of the turns the car made. She'd been taken at the far end of Cross Lane, where the trees grew thick. She heard him start the engine, and she hadn't felt the car turn, so he must have carried on down that road. But the terror, it had blinded everything else while she flickered in and out. She hadn't been paying attention to the journey. She would guess that they've been driving for 5 minutes already. They might not even be in Fairview anymore, but Pip didn't see how any of that could help her. Okay, so what could help her? Come on, think. Keep her mind busy so it didn't go looking for the dark place at the back where the terror lived. But a different question occurred to her instead. That question, who will look for you when you're the one who disappears? Now she'd never know the answer because she'd be dead, but that wasn't right, she told herself, shuffling onto her side to release the pressure of her arms. She didn't know the answer, a knowledge that was bone deep, a knowledge that would have outlived her. Ravi would look for her, her mom, her dad, her baby brother, Kara, more of a sister than a friend, Naomi Ward, Connor Reynolds, Jamie Reynolds, just as she looked for him, Nat De Silva, Becca Bell even. Pip was lucky, so lucky. Why hadn't she ever stopped to think about how lucky she was? All those people who cared about her, whether she deserved them or not. A new feeling now, not panic. It was less bright than that, heavier, sadder, slow-moving, but it hurt so much more. She was never going to see them again, any of them. Not Ravi's lopsided smile or his ridiculous laugh or any of the 100 ways he had of telling her he loved her. Never hear him call her Sarge again, never see her family, not her friends. All those last moments with all of them, and Pip hadn't known those were her final goodbyes. Her eyes welled up and spilled over, running down her face to the rough carpet. Why couldn't she sink through the ground now, disappear to somewhere DT couldn't get to her? At least she told her mom she loved her before she walked out the door. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave it off right there. I'll be back.